In this video, we're going to be working with URDs. URD, or Universal Reliability Definition. So we have a RBD interface. We could add a block, and then we could do a double click. And the first thing we will need to do to avoid ending with a lot of generic names would be to change this, assign the name of our block. And then we could, for example, assign a failure distribution and repair distribution. But the risk of being this one is a database, the risk of ending with a lot of models that are sort of a generic name is quite high. So what we're going to do, we're going to take a different approach. So we're going to cancel that, and we go on to Home, and then Resource Manager. So Resource Manager, what we're going to do, we're going to create the models first, and then we're going to assign the models to the blocks. So we'll start with URD, which is the top level of all the other information: failure distribution, repair distribution, scheduled task. So we add a block, or we add a URD, and the first thing we do, we change the name default, and we put the name of the URD. So we're talking, for example, about a bearing. So we're going to be dealing with a bearing, and then we assign the failure distribution of the bearing. So again, we remove this default, and we're going to call it bearing failure distribution, and say we're happy with this parameter 3.2 26,250 hours, and we click OK. So now we've got a name that makes some sense. It's a bearing failure distribution with a two parameter variable with the parameters indicated. Then we go to corrective tasks, for example, and we add a corrective task. Again, we remove this default, and we call it bearing repair. Okay, and the policy is we start the repair following a failure, and then we have to put the information regarding the repair distribution. Again, we remove that default, and we put bearing repair distribution, and say we're happy with an exponential of 6 hours as a mean life. And then the next thing we do is to set up the pool. That's very important that we assign a specific name, because otherwise by default it will all be called pool, and then we won't be able to distinguish the various parts among the different blocks. So we're going to call this bearing part pool. And the cost, we can assign the cost. Again, we call it cost per unit, and say, for example, is 125 whatever currency, normal distribution, mean value, and a standard deviation of 15. So we're happy with that, and then we're happy with the other setting, unlimited spares, and so on. So we don't need anything else. So we click OK. So now we got information that relates to the bearing failure distribution, the bearing repair distribution with a repair task, and the bearing part pool. And we click OK, and we click OK. So we fully configured our first item, and then we would obviously continue with the other items. So now we can add the block, or we can even take a shortcut, and we go onto this icon at the bottom right, and this contains the URD. So we drag our item on the RBD interface, and we got the information already configured. So this is how we can sort of accelerate, but in particularly avoid creating a lot of models of a generic name that then we find it difficult to handle. Okay, thank you for watching.